All right, let's start with WION's monthly global economic health check. Let's first look at global markets and how they performed in October. Now, broadly, commodities, digital assets and dollar rose driven by differing bets. Bitcoin surged over 10% on the so-called Trump trade, with the top token now on the verge of breaching its previous record high set in March. Gold was the other big beneficiary in October. The yellow metal shined to repeated new record highs through the month, driven by safe haven bids from rising tensions in West Asia. Crude oil was not far behind either, surging 2% as the market's attention turned back to a potential flare-up of West Asia hostilities. The dollar kept humming along on safe haven bets as the US election race heats up. Moving on to Asia-Pacific stock markets, then the sudden shift away from risk assets hit Asian markets. Barring Japanese stocks, regional benchmarks turned red in October. India's Sensex saw the biggest fall in the region, dropping nearly 6% in October. Chinese and Australian benchmarks fell over 1%. Japanese stocks rose over 3% as the yen weakened, boosting the outlook for the export-oriented companies. The story in American stocks was no different, with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq reversing from record highs to close out the month in the red. Canada's stock index was the only exception, rising 0.7%. The Brazilian stock index closed out October in the red, with losses of over 1.5%. Stocks across Europe and Africa fell as well, as West Asia tensions, trade flare-up with China weighed on stocks in the region. The French CAC saw the biggest losses in Europe with a drop of 3.7%. The rest declined over 1%. Now let's turn our attention to the overall economic outlook. Let's look at the Asia-Pacific region to begin with. The International Monetary Fund gave a big thumbs up to India once again. The outlook for the rest in Asia remained negative. For China, the outlook is still mired in doubts because of the recession in its real estate crisis, despite a stimulus blitz. Clearly, markets and analysts are calling for Xi Jinping to do more to support growth. All right, then in the Americas, the outlook for the United States, Canada and Brazil and Argentina shows more needs to be done. For the US economy, expectations are now for a soft landing rather than a recession. This comes after the Fed's bazooka rate cut in September, but bets of more jumbo-sized easing in November is fading. The economic activity expectations in Canada, Brazil and Argentina were cut as well. On the other side of the Atlantic, the negative outlook seems to be widespread. The UK and other European economies will likely just about avoid a recession. The outlook for African economies also remained negative. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.